So I think a lot of us started our businesses in a couple of ways. Number one, we probably studied, went to varsity and learned a certain skill, and off the back of that, we built a business. Some of us, went into the workforce. We started to work for other people. We learned a certain skill from them. We realized our bosses were shit. We then were like, we can do better than them, and then that's pretty much how you then started a business off the back of that, or maybe probably you also found a problem somewhere in the world that you wanted to solve, and you sort of built a business off the back of trying to solve that problem. And the way that you probably grew that business in the early days, and maybe even up to today, is mostly referrals and word of mouth. So, first client came in, you did an amazing job, and they told the next person. And now I want you guys to gather around for a little bit of story time here with Uncle Jason, because I'm going to tell you about the little quick story about Firing Squad and how we got to where we are today. So we were a web design and development agency a couple of years back, and we did some amazing work, and the only way we generated any sort of sales was referrals and word of mouth, right? And when you're trying to scale up your business, that is a really shitty way of trying to actually grow a business, right? It's a great way of making sales because you feel all confident. You walk in a room, you close referrals left, right, and center, and you're like, yes, I must be the best salesperson in the world. But I mean, those sales, you should be closing most of them. And anyway, so for instance, when we were a web dev or web design agency, I actually applied, here's where the story comes in. I applied to join EO Accelerator in Johannesburg. I wanted to do anything I could to get into this room and get into EO. And at the time, I was willing to fly up every single month to the accountability meetings. I would do anything to get into Accelerator, because there was no Cape Town chapter at the moment. It was like 6 years ago. And at the time, Firing Squad was a sister company to Don Packett's Missing Link. And so Rich Mulholland at the time was an investor in our business, and the way we would generate sales was their team used to go and introduce us to their clients and try and get us to get sales that way. And when I sat with Ronan from Student Village and he was interviewing me then, I told the whole story. He phoned me a week later to tell me, and I'm like, oh, please let me in. And he was like, Jason, you're an amazing fit, but you have absolutely no way of generating sales. You cannot rely on another business to put you in the room and generate sales for you. And I was like, firstly, I was like, he was 100% right. I did not go out and do any sort of sales. I relied on everybody else to do it for us. And obviously, I didn't get into Accelerator in Joburg. And off the back of that, I realized I need to fix this problem. And one of the things we also realized at the time was, you throw a stone in any office park, you hit another web design agency, right? They are everywhere. And we were getting to a time where we were looking at this going, something needs to change. And so we looked at the end of one of the years that we were doing business. We looked at which of our clients were spending the most money with us. And at the top of that pile was companies that were doing email marketing. We were doing email marketing for them. So we were designing newsletters and sending them out. And we were like, wait a second. Email marketing is like the topping to our pizza at the moment. Why don't we just make it the actual pizza? And so we decided to completely pivot to doing email marketing and become sort of the specialists in that. Now, remember, I've literally got one client. They're not going to sustain this business whatsoever. And the only way I realized, well, how am I going to get some more clients? I thought, well, maybe I should let me start cold emailing some companies and trying to get some sales meetings that way. I started to send out cold emails, and that started to work really, really well. So I started to book a whole bunch of meetings to sell email marketing. Off the very first campaign I ran, I think we closed Dimension Data. I know this is an accelerator, about a 700,000 Rand retain, off my first sort of campaign. I was like, boom, we're in business here. And it worked so well that I was like, wait a second, I can sell cold emailing. I can cold email to sell cold emailing. It's very meta. And I realized when you're sitting in a room with someone and you're talking, and I get the meeting, and then they start to me, Jason, how do you know this really works? I said, you realize I'm sitting in a meeting with you because I cold emailed you, right? This works. Where are you going to sign? Right? And that's where I'm at today, where primarily, or the only thing Firing Squad now focuses on is sales and leads. And it's a complete change from where I was, where I would not touch and go out and do any sales. So I want to take you through some of the reasons why, obviously, it works. Before I do that quickly, I want to just show you this campaign that I'm actually running at the moment. It's now stopped. So we're got a recruitment event this evening, happening right here in this room. A couple of you will be here. I've set up a couple of cold emails. I reached out to companies that are Accelerator-sized businesses within Cape Town in certain verticals. We only did 95 prospects, right? So we've got 95 people. There were 100. 5 of you are actually sitting in this room. So I had to tell my prospector we got those people covered. A 77% open rate of my cold email. These people do not know who I am. They are not on some newsletter list that they've opted in already. And they're opening these mails. I think a lot of you might be, if you ever send out newsletters, you're probably hoping and praying for like a 15, 20, 25% open rate. 77%. A 45% reply rate. So of the numbers are actually up there. So 74 people out of the 95 opened an email from me, and 43 of those 95 actually replied. So a whole bunch of it, funny enough, actually there's a few more that have replied, but they just went and booked for this evening, RSVP'd this evening, and I had to just stop the emails to them. A lot of them obviously replied, some can't make it, but they're still interested. Obviously a few people are like, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, shame, you just don't know what you're missing out on. But can't do much about that. And I want to just show you, this is just cold email, and that's it. So the first reason why this all works is it's measurable, right? Not only just like the opens and the click-throughs that I showed you there, but being able to track someone within any of your campaigns that you're running. So whether they've opened an email, and in one of the emails that I send people is the second email I send them, there's a video in that. I know if they've clicked and opened that video, and I can also track how much of that video they've watched, right? And then you can probably take that prospecting list and use those emails for other parts within your any sort of your sales funnel as well. So it's highly trackable, right? And also it allows you to obviously change that data as things are going, or make decisions based on that data. Email ROI, I did have the link to this data. This is true, but it's the most, or the email ROI for every dollar that you spend on email, it returns you about $40. And it's it is the highest ROI of all marketing channels, right? And this is proven year after year after year after year. I mean, those aren't terrible. I mean, they're still good, but the fact is email trumps them all. I think one of the big reasons why is because everybody uses email. So like some HubSpot, some of you will know, they did like a survey and figured out, well, 91% of consumers use email, and I think a lot of us, we can prove this, and they said about 73% of B2B businesses communicate in email. And I think you all know this. I think all of you are, whether you're using email for communication, setting up your meetings, sending proposals, whatever the story is, pretty much all your business is done via email at some point, right? It also integrates really well with all of your other marketing strategies. So you should be, and I think this is one of the things that I tell our clients a lot as well, is when you're doing any sort of marketing or any sort of sales or anything like that, you're probably maybe using, let's say you're going and using Facebook, you're doing maybe some Facebook ads, maybe doing some PPC, SEO, you've got a website, you might be doing some, banner ads, whatever the story is. All of those platforms can change at the drop of a hat. SEO changes daily. Facebook decides how they want the news feed to work. One of these platforms could just disappear one day, right? The fact is, if you've got somebody's email address or got building an email list at all, whenever you're doing any of sort of your marketing, you're sort of building like a moat around your business. Because you can now use those emails and use that database of yours to, when times are a bit tough, maybe send out a mailer to try and get a couple either more meetings, to do a couple more sales. Without that, with a database of like no one on that, you're having to rely on other platforms to try and get you more customers. And so I'm always trying to say to clients, like, build an email list that you can then use over and over and keep on growing that. And so always try and integrate it into any sort of marketing or any sort of sales process or any sort of sales funnel that you're trying to set up. I'm going to now go into the 3 steps that you need to do in order to land sales from cold cold emails. And so this is getting into some of the nitty-gritty stuff. So there's 3 things that you need to be doing. Number 1, prospecting. So you got to be, who are you going to be actually sending emails to? Number 2, writing those cold emails. And number 3 is sending those cold emails. Pretty straightforward. The first one is prospecting, right? Now, there's a couple of ways to do this, right? There's the manual way. You can go onto LinkedIn. You can go use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You can go and try and figure out businesses and their email address, and you can sit for most of your day and try and find the people you should be emailing, right? That is a terrible, terrible, terrible use of your time. You'd rather let somebody else be doing that. And the people that you should be doing that for you are all sitting on Upwork. So Upwork.com. There are data prospectors sitting there waiting for you guys to come to them and tell them who do you want to talk to, right? So a couple of things in what you're trying to now build a list. So this is the step number 1 where we normally build a list for our clients, and this is what you guys should be doing. Kind of, this is a very terrible slide, but what you're trying to say to me is what industries, and this comes back to core customer, right? So who is your core customer? And we've all learned this in strategy, yeah? Understanding that is going to make this job so much easier. So where are you? And I know Darren, we spoke about this. Darren needs to be talking to estate agents or architects. Okay, great. So that's his industry or the types of companies that he wants to go out and find. Okay. Number 2, what is that company size? You can't always figure it out based on revenue, but what you can do is sort of staff size. So you'll know in an agency of maybe 20 to 25 staff, they're probably doing 15, 20 million rand revenue. If they're in manufacturing, probably 50 to 80 people is probably like a 20 million rand business. I mean, you'll know that from your current clients, what sizes they are. So normally use company staff as the size of company that you're obviously wanting to work with. Where they're located. You want to do all of South Africa? Do you want to only do Cape Town like we did with the accelerators? You know, South Africa works really well for this. Africa, a little bit tougher. Europe, super easy. The US, Australia, all of those you can, if you're wanting to be doing prospecting and trying to find companies overseas, this is brilliant for that. Also the titles and designations of who you're wanting to speak to. I always normally rank this and say, who's the most important person? Well, probably the one that you want to have the meeting with, or probably the one that's going to sign the check at the end of the day for you. Those are the people that you're wanting them to reach out to first. Obviously, the bigger companies like, let's say, you know, F&B, there's probably 5, 10 people in this business that you could go and chat to. It'd be great. Well, then that's fine. Let the prospector know you don't mind having 2 or 3 people from that same company. A couple of other keys to this is we always tell them no Gmail addresses, no Yahoo addresses, no generic email addresses. So no accounts, sales, info at type email addresses. That has to be the person's email address, their direct email address. Obviously a LinkedIn URL if they're able to give you that. And I mean, obviously the company name is quite important. Oh, one thing on the company name is to make sure that they give you the company name in the format of how the companies, how you normally would call the company. So as an example, TFG. So TFG's like official name is TFG Ltd, right? Public company. But you're probably reaching out to somebody in sports scene. You want them the prospector to put their sports scene in your Excel file that they're building for you, not TFG Limited, because when you write those emails, you don't want to be calling the company TFG Limited because nobody talks like that. And that's really it. So that's step number 1. Go and get your data from Upwork. It takes you 30 minutes to get this up and running. Yeah, you want to ask a question? B2B. This is B2B, yeah. Step number 2, writing your cold emails, right? This, some of you might even know Rory. Rory is from a company here in Cape Town, Realm Digital. When I got this email, I was like, the presentation gods have shined upon me. Because he sent me such a shit cold email that I was like, this is going straight into my presentation. It's like, yes, Rory, my man. It was gold when I saw this. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I think some of you can, but he's literally, hi, Jacques.
You're literally naming and shaming right now.
Well, I mean, like, I would love to actually go and chat to the guy, to be honest with you. So that's why I'm saying it. Not like, but I'm calling him out here, right? Because I know Realm a little bit, so I don't mind doing this. And I'm happy to help them. So he goes, hi, Jacques. Are you kidding me? I was like, how do you get this right? And then the other thing he missed is, I'm going to go through this in the next slide. So a couple of fails on this mail. Number 1, he missed my name completely. He used the wrong name. You'll see over here, if we can spark a similar partnership with. So my company name is just missing from this email. He didn't even test or look at his data clearly. This is all about me. This entire mail does not talk about, let's say he got my name right. He didn't talk about my business whatsoever. He's opening nice like, I'd like to introduce Realm Digital. Now he starts talking about himself. We're a software development company. We specialize in custom solutions, blah, blah, blah. We have a vast portfolio. These are who we work for. We want to spark and then it's like, obviously he goes into like trying to get me to contact him. I'm like, dude, number one, I don't even know really what you do from this rubbish. And number two, you don't even, like, what does this help me? Obviously I'm in the, I understand software and stuff, so I know roughly what they do, but a lot of people don't. So like, what does this have to do with my business? How can they help me? They don't even understand me. So that's a really terrible, it's a terrible way of writing a cold email. Another one is there's no call to action in this mail, okay? So, and what I mean by that, he hasn't asked me a question. He's just said to me, please let me know if you have time in your diary for an introductory meeting. Rory, no, I don't. So that's number one, there's no question on this, right? So he's not asking me for any sort of reply. And then he almost violated me by, he took the liberty of attaching a PDF to this mail, right? So he's just given me everything and he's not asking me a single question. And there's absolutely nothing for me to now do on this. I got exactly who they are if I give a shit, and I've got their PDF. Cool. I'll get in touch with you, Roy, when I feel like it. He's done nothing. Another thing that I realized also this was about 10 odd days ago that he sent this mail, 0 follow-ups. I wouldn't hire this guy. Sorry if you were looking for a sales guy. We can fix that though. We can help him. So to fix these type of emails, and I'm going to give you some great examples of how to write a really great set of cold emails. So the art of a great, good subject line. So that's one of the most important things. You can do the most amazing prospecting. You can have the most amazing list of people that you know your business is going to solve their problems and you're going to get some work from them. But if they do not open your email, it does not matter what's in that email. It does not matter past everything else that you've done. It's literally, honestly, the most important thing within this entire process. Because without them opening an email, you're getting nowhere, right? So, and just realize that, whoa, sorry. Go back, sorry. So there's a couple of things here. Realize the subject line's only goal is for it to be open, the mail to be open. Like you don't want to be obviously trick them and say, try and be all dodgy with that subject line, but don't overthink the subject line either, right? A lot of us, when we send emails, we just like, do you even remember the subject lines that you even use? No, you just like one word, start the mail, right? And off you go. Now I realize you are contacting people you know already, but that's the same thing you need to think of when you're emailing someone. Look, and so that's what you have to realize is you're not trying to explain stuff in the subject line, you're just trying to get the mail open. The shorter the better. So we've tested this, longer, shorter, all of that. Definitely, without a doubt, the less words in that subject line, the better. Personalization works. So using their name or maybe their company name or maybe a product they sell or something like that within the subject line also works really well. And write a lot of subject lines. And the reason why we say this and why we do this for our clients is because the first 5 or so subject lines that you try and write yourself are pretty average. And then the next probably 15 or let's say 10 are really bad, and then the gold starts to come out at the end. And for those of you who know BuzzFeed, that's one of the things when they write an article, the subject or the title of an article, they have to write, I think, over 30 subject lines for every article they write, because they know how important, number one, that title is, and it only gets right at the end, some of the gold starts to come out. So I want to give you some examples. I'm going to write these down. Some great examples of subject lines that we know have worked and work for our clients. Our highest performing 2018 subject line of the year is no jokes. Hey. That was it. Subject line, hey. Highest performing subject line for Firing Squad in 2018.
I don't know it's the highest performing subject line from like your open rate.
Yes, open rate. So remember the only goal, open the mail. That's it. Hey, it's ridiculous, eh?
Number 2, hey.
Yeah. So then.
Is that because people think it's personal?
Yes. Yeah. Now remember, we know.
frustrate someone when they open it and they're like, somebody trying to sell me something again.
They don't. And I think, so number one, you're not tricking them by saying, hey, you've won a prize, and now you're not. You're just getting into the remember, the minute they've opened that mail, they stop thinking about the subject line. You do. Like, you overanalyze the stuff too much. That's why I said you just got to go with like stuff that just gets them to open the mail. So once they read, they see their name in the email, then it's like they're ready to read the email, they'll forget about the subject line. And now they're actually opened the mail and reading it. A couple of the personalizations that I'm talking about. So we'll do stuff like, let's say I'm mailing, so I'm mailing the person, so I'll probably do like, so this will be their name, right? So first name, like that. And probably like, there's like variations of this, and like obviously my name, okay? You can do the same for like company. So their company name and your company name. All right, these have some pretty good success. Another one that we know works, also, no, a couple of them are like, so like call next week, like question mark. Like our call, I mean, like you're just trying to almost like say to them, there's already a call set up. I use like Zoom call, if that's what you obviously might be, some of your conversations might be over Zoom, the Zoom call. Some stuff like, and we also sometimes test this where we use like lowercase for the Z, so it's not even like correctly done, because it looks like you haven't taken the time to think about the subject line, i.e. it's just you're sending this email to a mate type of thing. These little subtle things are all like stuff that we test and we start seeing what does and doesn't work. All about that open rate. Stuff like, yeah, you can call next week, you can go like meeting next week. So these like just variations of these, you have to just test. You can swap these around. Legitimately, this is just data that you should just be testing. So having a whole bunch of these, pop them in, what are their open rates, which one's performing better, remove the ones that aren't, swap things around, keep sending, keep testing. That's like a very good starting point. I've got a bigger list of about 20 or so that I'm happy to send. Emojis, we started testing that, also works pretty well. And it's just literally just the emoji in the subject line. So there's some good examples of subject lines that we know work quite well.
What's the worst one?
The worst ones we find is when we've like written like almost like half an explainer, like interested in, you know, engaging the culture of your business. And it's like, and I realized like we've done that, we definitely have, and I realized that's not how people write emails. Like that's not a subject, that's a newsletter subject line, and people can sniff that shit a mile away. Yeah. Okay, so you've got your subject line, people are opening your mails, boom, and then you write a mail like Rory, and then it's like falls completely flat. So there's 3 copywriting formulas, and this can actually, funny enough, be used not just in your cold emails, but this can also be used in any of your marketing. So we'll use this from whether it's ad copy, whether this is PDFs that we're writing for ourselves or for our clients. These work across the board, but they obviously work quite well, obviously, in cold email. There's 3 formulas to it. There's the BAB, the before-after bridge, the PAS, problem, agitate, solve, and the FAD, features, advantages, and benefits. Okay, I'm going to go into them in a bit more detail. The BAB, right?
So are you going to share this with us?
I will share this with you. I'll give you a list of nice subject lines you got. I've got some.
Stop writing it all down.
Yeah, listen here. Take notes. You need to take notes. We will make you remember it better. But I will give this stuff to you. Okay, so the before-after bridge, right? So what that is you firstly, before, you're talking about your customer's current situation, okay? The after is how awesome their life, their business is going to be once they've used you. So what does that look like to them? Painting that picture, the after. And the bridge is how they get there. Buy my shit, right? Okay, so here's an example of it. This is like a firing squad example that sort of, you know, on a corporate side, like, so here's the before. Do you solely rely on referrals and pushy cold calls to drive sales for your business? Now here, what if does a very good job of doing the after? What if you had an automated sales engine driving a consistent number of warm leads to your business every single month? Your cash flow would be looking better than ever. Your financial forecast would all be about massively growing profits, and you start being able to pay yourself a decent salary and, dare I say, dividends. Talk to us at Firing Squad, and here's the bridge, about implementing an optimized sales funnel that produces profitable and sustainable results on an ongoing basis. Now this isn't, I wouldn't say a cold email, like the last part, I wouldn't write that in a cold email, but the point is you can see now I can bridge it and say, well, I think I've got something for you. How about we have a meeting next week, type of thing. So that's the before after bridge. This is our sort of our favorite one that we normally go in with. The PAS, the problem, agitate, solves, very similar to sort of the BAD, but what you're doing is you're presenting the problem, you're sort of poking at it to agitate that problem, and then you're solving it. So you're not actually showing them what it looks like if it's what the other side looks like. You just really just keep digging at them. Stuck using, this might work for Yappy Chef, stuck using the same boring spatula every morning, wishing breakfast wasn't the dullest part of your day, let morning monotony win again, or fight back with a new cactus-shaped spatula. So you can sort of see how there's the problem, you agitate it even more, and then you solve it for them. And lastly, features, advantages, and fab, the features, advantages, and benefits. Sort of a more subtle one that can be used. We don't use this often, but I mean, I guess there are definitely times that you want to. So what it does is you're introducing sort of product features. It's not like a long list of details, obviously. You're just focusing on how those features sort of are going to benefit the customer. Okay?
Would this not be, I always feel like this is against where we're going, where this is about the product and the business, and it's like me.
Yeah.
Whereas the other two are more about them and the problem we're solving.
Yeah, so yeah, you're 100% right with this one is a little bit more about you, but realize you're trying to give them sort of the benefits as well. So that's what I'm saying, it's a more subtler one. Yeah, 100%. It's just something to, once again, test, because you just don't know, your audience might not be, the people you're emailing might not always be susceptible to that, these are your problems type of thing. So it's just something to always test, that's what I'm saying. Our Snuggies have a built-in layer of Wookiee hair providing greater levels of insulation and comfort. So that's sort of the features side of things and advantages, which means you stay cozy and warm all night without the added bulk. So there you can sort of see how that benefits the customer at the end. Okay. Here's a couple of sort of what you wanted to put into your cold email. So the hacks that we've seen at No will get you replies. And these aren't, I'm not talking about being sneaky or anything like that. It's literally just the stuff that you have to be putting in your cold emails that gets you the right replies from the right people, right? Number one, have a call to action, also known as just a simple yes/no question in every single email that you send, okay? And what I mean by yes/no question is a question that is easily answerable by the person that you're sending, right? So you don't want to say to them, how's your diary looking next week? Because that's quite open-ended. Now they have to go and look and things like that. We'll just say, like, how's your availability, or let's have a chat next week Tuesday, right? Can we have a chat next week Tuesday? That's making it easier for them just to go say yes or no. Because if they're like away, they go, oh, I'm not available on Tuesday, but yes, Wednesday. You've just taken away the amount of things they have to think about within when they reply to you. So the easier that question is, the easier that call to action is to answer from their side with a yes or a no, is the bigger chance that you're going to get a reply from them. Okay, so that's the first one. Every single email must have a question of some sort in it to get you wanting a reply from them. Video links work really well in email that we figured out. So what we found is it's not like, oh, hey, go watch this video. It's more like, by the way, like a PS, even PS, here's some of the amazing work that we've done for some of our clients if you want to check it out. It's a 3-minute video, like type of thing. People are curious. If you're using Google Apps and the video's on YouTube, it's like embedded in your mail. So they click it and they can watch it right there. And people are generally just curious. And they're way more watch a little video than they would maybe read a PDF or go look at your website and browse around your website, right? And even so much so that this has worked is that we had one of our clients up in Johannesburg on the list or on the people that we emailed were some of their competitors, right? And the guy, one of them replied to him and said, hey, listen, we're actually one of your competitors, but we checked out your video in the mail and your work is so good that I think we need to be using you for some of our stuff. So that's what I'm saying, videos work. And I've shown it also with a second mail in that series for the accelerators for this evening. That I put a little video of, I just shot myself talking to them about answering some of the questions I think they would have.
Can I ask you,
Yes.
like I'm really paranoid about picking up viruses.
Yeah?
Too. scared that they're going to get a virus by opening a link to a video? Because I
Possibly, but I think majority of people just do it, right? Like it's, yeah.
They all need some.
Yeah, I mean, I see it on the side where people are watching the videos, they're clicking the links, they're opening them. It's like people do it, right? And you're the people that is maybe mailing you those like links or those little dodgy sites, you know. So it's like, you see what I'm saying? So those are those phishing mails and things like that. But whereas this is coming from person, you've written the mail well, so it like looks like it is coming from someone, from a real person, not some Russian spam farm, right?
Cats are smart.
Yeah.
They can't spell.
Exactly. If you have some sort of a PDF, like a lead magnet of sorts, no, not your credentials PDF or anything that's like about you, something that they can use, whether it's like a checklist for, let's say, recruitment, like what are the checklists you know you have to do in order before you hire someone, like here's a checklist that you can definitely use, whatever those type of value adds type of PDFs, that's what I'm talking about. And you want to send that to the person, ask them if you can send it to them. Once again, it's a simple yes/no question, not just sending it to them, because then they're just going to go, oh, cool, thanks, delete. If they say yes, yeah, I don't mind looking at it. You can now send it to them, which means in a week's time, you can follow up and say, hey, did you read it? And now you're building some sort of a relationship. Because none of us are selling something specific over an email. I mean, maybe not, except maybe for Skulk. But most of us are having to try and get sales meetings, and the only way you're going to do that is offering some sort of value to them to get them this and build a relationship. And this works really well. So it's not like Rory, who just sent me his PDF, actually just asking me, hey, Jason, do you mind if I send it to you? Cool. Obviously, using a conversational writing style, it's tricky to get this right, because a lot of, you want to write this very sort of email, corporate-y style, you're reaching out to somebody, this is business-to-business communication, and you use all these highfalutin words that nobody uses. I've taken the liberty to attach this. No one talks like that. But you write it in email. Try and get that out. Try and remove all of those little words and stuff that corporate speak, and try and be more conversational. Because you can say we've done prospecting, reached out to, honestly, CEO of F&B, we've done the top 20 JSE listed companies, mailed them directly. We get replies from them, right? We don't have to talk like in this corporate speak. We just talk like you would talk to a friend. And this works really well because nobody writes emails like that, so it stands out. Or very few people write emails like that. We write emails like that. And lastly, keeping your signature super simple. So when we do cold email campaigns, right, we actually sometimes, I know a lot of us have these massive signatures with a bunch of links in there and social following, blah, 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 blah. We'll normally strip most of that out. We want them to focus on the content of the mail. So we'll just then maybe just put their little logo, their name, their title, and maybe their cell phone and email address. We don't want them visiting your website. We want them to reply to the email, right? Because that's how you start the relationship. That's how you start the conversation. So we'll normally strip most of that stuff out of their signatures. And then once you're having the conversation, your main signature is going to now come back and send it. But that's we found just to keep it simple and the focus on the actual email itself. And so those are some of the things that we found that work really, really well.
I find it quite frustrating when I get an email from a digital or marketing agency and the logo isn't filled.
Exactly.
Yes. I literally got called out on that the other day by a member. He was like,
Burn.
Your signature is a PDF.
Yes, and guys, do you realize people are opening this is now just quickly on a side note, don't use big images. You don't just make them smaller. People got these wide images, it's so wide that your email is starting to look wide and your text is starting to go, and nobody reads more than say 15 words on a line. So the readability of your emails are affected because you have this massive, huge signature. Well, they make a vertical one. Not many people are doing long vertical ones. There's a trick there. But I'm saying, don't make them so wide. Okay. The key to also all of this, which Rory, once again, I love Rory so much, I need to go to speak to that guy, is he didn't follow up, okay? And this is where cold emailing to get sales meetings, it's just like gold mining, right? You've just gotten a list of people that you want to do business with. Why would you stop contacting them why would you just leave them alone until they've actually said to you, no, we're not interested, or no thanks, or whatever. Keep going until you get an answer from these people, okay? So I would suggest anywhere from between 6 emails to these people to be on your list. Look, not suggesting a mail every single day. You've got to be crazy, right? But a mail every couple of days, 4, 5, 6 days. We'll do mail number 1. Mail number 2 is probably 5 days later. Mail number 3, 6 days later. Mail number 4 follow-up is probably another 5 days later. Then we'll drop them and say, listen, and I'll show you an example of that. I know you're probably busy and I'll get in touch with you a month later. I'll send them a mail a month later. This is all automated. And then I'll send them more mails. I just want to get an answer from them. If they've opened my mails, some of the mails, and they haven't replied, boom, new campaign in maybe a month or 2 months' time. Keep sending until they give you an answer. And I'm going to go back to that Accelerator campaign. There were only 3 mails in there, and the only reason is a short time frame for that. Highest reply rate now is with the last mail, number 3. I see it time and time again where mails 4 and 5 in our campaigns for our clients, even my emails, are like, Jason, I'm so sorry I never got back to you on this. And they're feeling bad. I'm like, I am really interested. I've just been super busy, but yes, I'm available in like 2 weeks' time. I'm like, boom, don't worry about that. It's okay. I know you're busy, and now I've got a relationship. So they're already on the back foot because they're apologizing, thinking of all this time that I've spent sending these emails. I haven't done any of it. And it happens often. So that's key. So here's some great examples of follow-up mail. So the mail number 1 is like outlining everything, and you're just touching base with the client just to get them to go, yes, I'm interested, or let's chat. So you can always drop in like one extra little tidbit here. So as examples, like, hey, just following up my email below. We've worked with the likes of Volkswagen, FBB, and developing communication strategies and making a huge impact on their businesses. Could we have a quick call next week at a time that suits you? That's it. That's like mail number 2 that we'll send. There's a bunch of variations of this that we'll do. Another great one that's sort of maybe a third one is like, these work really well. Because people sometimes just want to deflect off to somebody else in the business. It's like, hey, just want to check, are you the right person to chat to at company name regarding whatever it is that you're wanting to talk to them about? Now, what that will normally do is either number 1 is like, yes, I'm the right person to talk to about that. Or number 2 is like, no, you'll be talking to Skulk in this department over there. Now, they might not give you the email address, right, or the contact details. They're like, some of them people are like, oh, yeah, or they might even CC the person in. If they don't do any of that, they're like, oh, speak to Skulk X, whatever his surname is. Give that to your prospect, and so go and find Skulk's contact details for me in this company. They'll quickly find that for you. Give them a couple of minutes. Come back. Then when you mail that person, you can go in your subject line, use referral from and James. Let's say you were mailing James here. Referral from James. That mail is definitely getting open. It's like, hi James, I was speaking to, sorry, I'm reaching out to Skulk. Hi Skulk, I was speaking to James about X, Y, and Z, and he said you're the right person to speak to. Can we have a meeting next week? He said it would be really valuable Boom. Now you've got this warm intro. It's like a referral right into there, and you've got the meeting with the right person. Okay, this works really, really well. Another one is just sort of when we sort of follow up in a month. So this is probably mail number 4. Hey, just realized that now might not be the best time to chat. So I'm happy to follow up in about a month or so. Or if you are available to chat this week, can we schedule a quick call? Whether they reply or not, your next mail just follow up in 30 days' time, right? So those are some of the follow-ups that we would use in sequence, and there's like just a bunch of these, like little touch points to this, to your mail that you're just wanting to get an answer from them, right? Now, step number 3 is actually sending them. So you're in prospecting, right? You've got the list, you've written your cold emails, and now you need to just send them out, okay? You don't want to be sending this out. You don't have to send this out manually. You shouldn't be. You're going to use software to do this, right? We use Reply for all our clients, so I would just go straight there, to be honest with you. Woodpecker and Mailshake are just competitors to Reply. And if you have any shit with Reply, just let me know. I know this here really, really well. And HubSpot, I think, also has this. So if something that you're already using HubSpot, I would definitely just plug it straight into HubSpot. So Why are you wanting to use these? You're not sending out newsletters. So you can't be sending out these mails in some third-party software like a MailChimp, like any sort of like that, because these are one-to-one, this is one-to-one communication, okay? What Reply does is it authenticates with your email address, okay? So that when it's time to send that mail is sent out of your outbox. So if you went to your sent items, you would see every single email individually delivered over the course of a day. So let's say you're going to be sending out 100 mails, right, for the day. Reply will split them up over the course of the day, every minute, 25 seconds, right, and a mail will trigger and keep going out. Okay. So you've loaded this once, you've done all the personalization. It's like a very fancy way of doing a mail merge, right? And so the mail, there is no, if the person looks at where the mail, like any of the sort of the technical guys, if they went to go and look at, oh, is this like a, you know, some sort of server or whatever? No, it's come out of your outbox. Works with all email providers. Doesn't matter who they are. Then secondly, what it does really well is the follow-ups, right? So you've loaded all the follow-ups. Now you don't ever want to have to remember to follow up with someone. Reply will handle that for you. So if they don't reply to the mail, they'll get the next mail. If they don't reply to their mail, they'll get the next one. And the minute they do reply, the software will pick up that they've replied. So it monitors the first reply on the email, marks them as completed. You now have the lead in your inbox, and you now take over the conversation. They no longer get the mails, oh, just checking in with you type of things. So that's why you're wanting to use the software. And then also, obviously, all the stats. So your normal Google or your Office 365 doesn't show you if a person opened the mail unless you use read receipts, but like, that's not really a good idea. This will show you who's opened the mail. This will show you like how many times they've opened the mail. So there's another thing that I actually want to mention is people that open your mail multiple times, you'll see this in Reply, we call them hot leads. And the reason why is they haven't actually opened your mail 3, 4, 5, 10 times. What they probably have done is hit forward on that mail, forward it to somebody in their company, and now what's happening is this email of yours, there's a conversation happening on top of it. So they're now talking about something that you've obviously mailed them about, and now they're having a conversation. Every time your mail, which is in this email trail, gets opened, it triggers an open. Those people, you phone them, pick up the phone, or drop them a different email, because they definitely have a conversation about you that you're not privy to, then there's definitely clearly business in that.
So one of the things I always wanted to check is like, so say the mail is in a person's inbox. They just left in the inbox, and yes, they've clicked it, but not like double click, just like single click open.
Yes.
And do preview.
Yes.
And now they've left it there, they get other mails, but they delete those mails, so it automatically then highlights your mail again, and so it opens it up in the previews. That counted as an open each time. I'm a typical person.
That's a very good question. Do images load? So in those mails, those preview mails, do images load in those mails? Let's say you get a newsletter. Okay, then it's fine. Then it's fired. So then it's marked as an open.
It depends on your settings as well. Sometimes you can set automatically download images.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
you
you
don't obviously know how they've set it up on their side.
So if you deleted the email above it and it goes to that one, it won't, because normally it marks, if the email is unread and it does that, if you scroll down, it leaves it as unread.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, I see now what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not an Outlook power user, so I'm not actually sure about that, to be honest with you. I know what you're saying, yes.
I'll sometimes have like the person's opened it up like 25 times, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Like.
So that could be one of the reasons that like sort of that on that preview pane. But the point is, if an image is opening, that means the pixel is.
So that's I guess already a good sign at this point. But
yeah. But the fact that it's just been highlighted quite a few times means they would have seen something even in that preview pane or whatever. So once again, means it's still sitting in their inbox, right? And they still seem to be going back to that. And I know this from I've seen this with our own experience with that Dimension Data deal. They never actually replied to us. I just saw this mail that we had sent out it was like 25 opens, like literally it was well over 20. I just picked up the phone and phoned him. It's like, Jason, we've been talking about you. Oh, really? You know, and got the meeting. Yeah, I got the meeting with them like that. Yeah, and that's it, right? So I think the key for this is also get everything prepped, ready to go, so that when you just sign up for Reply, they've got like a 14 free trial. Get some sales meetings off that. Don't sign up and then go write your cold emails and then do your prospecting. Use the 14 free trial. They do like 200 or 300 prospects you can do in that. Just ask them in the chat. They're very good at it. That's why I'm punting them. It's like, just ask them, hey, can you extend my free trial? They want customers, so just keep pushing them. Get a sale. Get one sale from this, and then, that starts, all of the stuff starts easily paying for itself.
There's that $1 to $40 ROI.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
Google AdWords putting on that? So SEO was about 2022.
I mean, we can go back to that quickly. So yeah, this was my last slide, and we can.
Just roughly,
I can't remember.
The ROI.
He was showing banner ads, he wasn't showing search ads.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. There's some experts in the room. There's definitely a positive ROI on that, without a doubt.
Just in your experience.
Yes.
You come across customers that have been using AdWords and you started using this methodology.
Yeah.
It rates
Email
better.
will definitely have a better ROI.
Yes. But remember, this is also outbound, right? That's also, so people, if they're searching for you, like, that's inbound. Like, it's another strategy, and I would like have multiple strategies. You want to build multiple lead generation assets in your business, driving. Some are coming in to you, they're searching for you and finding you or seeing ads on you. Sometimes you're going out, which is called emailing and going out to them. Like, have multiple avenues that you're testing all the time, and you'll find some of them don't. Maybe search for you just doesn't work. There's no positive ROI. You've tried everything. You've 6 months, 8 months, a year of really pushing it hard. People give up too quickly with a lot of this stuff. They'll send like 3, 4 emails, or they'll like send 2 emails. They're like, this doesn't work, Jason. Cancel. I'm like, we haven't even like tested stuff here. Like, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. We wouldn't be sitting here in Accelerator. We'd all be in EO, right? You've got to use the data and test and test and test, and you'll figure out which is working better for you to put more budget behind it. I mean, that's like a whole nother marketing spiel.
Point with the HubSpot, does it also do the authentication with your email?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Yeah. It
Sorry,
does.
what was that?
HubSpot does do the proper authentication with your email address to send it out of your thing. I haven't. No, I don't. I'm not using HubSpot.
HubSpot's quite. I think HubSpot's about. It's more on the expensive side. I think it's about $800. But it is to know for the marketing component, the email marketing component, replies about half that. But as part of the EO Accelerator, you get, if you sign up and specify that you're part of the EO Accelerator, you get a 90% discount. For,
On
I think
HubSpot?
the
On
first
HubSpot?
time. On HubSpot. That's the conversation. I had a meeting with him last week. Guys, I look forward to
Yes, Yehuda.
19%.
Send it to the
These are part of
person you spoke to.
the
The leads chat.
And there's actually a bunch of training coming down the line.
There you go, guys.
It's going to be like it's not an EOA program, but it's going to be available to EO, like online HubSpot training process. It's coming down the line actually.
There is actually a section where when you do go through the sign up funnel, you can actually select EO Accelerator. When you do
Okay, well, yeah. That's so, yeah. If you're using it, they can do the email stuff too. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to go to Upwork and buy some prospects from them. Okay, number 1. Work on your subject lines, copy paste those ones. That's a great start right there. Write a couple of emails in a sequence. Don't overthink this, just get some emails written. Send it to me. I love helping you guys. I will quickly crit you and tell you to fix some stuff.
Scared now, you might be able to shame me.
I'm gonna create a link. I'm gonna create a LinkedIn video and showing you, and then I'm gonna fix it on my LinkedIn video. I'm gonna do that, JC. I need content, right? You might get some leads from that. Hook up reply, hook up HubSpot, hit send, and then analyze that data. Make sure your open rates are high. Like it has to be over at least 50%, 60%. It should be. If it's not, you're doing something wrong with cold emailing. Once again, I'm happy to help you guys. I'll have a quick look at the account. Asta also, I'll just tell her to go have a look. She'll be able to help you too. And get yourself some sales meetings. That's it. sure there's maybe some questions, yes.
Do you have any sort of benchmark figures? I know we get asked that all the time. It's like very, very difficult for some industry to industry. But are there any sort of benchmark figures of how many emails? If I send out 50, maybe you still got a 50% open rate, it's 25. From there, it's like 2 people contact you, or?
Okay, so a couple of things on that. Just we've got some stats on like cold email in various industries. They're quite low. So like we outperform them 3-4x. So it makes us look great because that's the data that we're finding online. It's in term. So this is where the thing comes in, right? If you look at this Accelerator campaign, it's obviously a very successful campaign, okay? But the thing is with it, if you think about you guys as business owners, we wanted to like grow our businesses, we wanted to talk to other entrepreneurs. It's a lonely journey. It's like, that's the messaging that I use in those mails. It's such a great fit that they're like, I need to see what this is about. Let me register or reply to Jason, okay? That's where it comes down to really understand. That's why open rates are easy to fix and get that higher, but reply rates are different. And that comes down to, number one, your messaging, deeply understanding your core customer, and knowing what problems and pain points they have that you solve. As your example, they don't give a shit about PPC and all of that. What they care about is more sales and more leads for their business, right? And they're struggling to generate more revenue. Talk about that stuff, and then it's like that's the stuff that they care about, and then it's like, well, this is how we do it. You don't have to worry about how we do it. We just give you more of the stuff. We fix those problems that you're having, and they're like, yes.
So with the risk of being your next Rory, I did a kind of like a cold email thing last week for my first time.
Yeah.
But I went super manual on it, which is
it's fine. You've got to start.
It's really against what I believe in. But anyway, I went super manual. I chose 6 clients that I really want to work with.
Yeah.
And I went like hyper personalized. Like I went into their website, their Facebook, their Google ads that I could see obviously on the front page. And I put together like a real personalized, like these are 4 points where I think that you could implement in your own business.
Yeah.
And if you want a free audit, we can offer it to you. And out of the 6, I did actually get 1 reply, which I thought was pretty good. I haven't done my follow-up, so that's today. But holy shit, did it take a long time. Like, probably took me like an hour per email to put together. So now I'm going, well, is it better that I go this way and rather send out 300 mails and it's not that much time, but then I'm like,
yes.
you get 1 back.
I love this. I love that you asked this question. Okay, because now I met somebody yesterday that I was like, oh, I can't actually believe this. So number one, as an example, you're in an industry that there are lots of clients that you can work with. Okay, Darren isn't. He told me he's got about 30 architects in Cape Town. There's no ways he can be sending out these type of cold emails to them because there's literally 30 of them. Okay, so different strategy for him. This guy yesterday, his business is actually, the guy, the owner of the business is in EO. I think it's about 100 million rand business. And I eventually asked him, dude, so you're telling me you built your entire business off cold emailing? He's like, no, I built my business off spamming people. And I was like, you are my hero. He was like, because he said to me, he just pumps out mails. He's like 50,000 mails a month. Cold emails to that. He cleans the data. He's got this whole way of doing it. He just says, we just snowball through data and emails and stuff like that. And this isn't some spammy business, like a proper business brokerage thing. They're like swanky offices, and these guys are like legit, right? It's like a proper 100 million rand business. They buy and sell businesses. They operate 50, 100 million rand sales. And his entire business was built. He said, I had no contacts when I started this, and I just started spamming people. And I actually, funny enough, was in another client meeting with an ex-client of ours, and they showed me one of these guys' cold emails, like, yo, it's a bad one. And I pulled it up and I showed him. He said, yeah, we got some flack with that one. But he just bounces it off. He's like, people will swear at me and like, reply. He said, I can't believe you have, they're like, to them, those people are his heroes. Because they got so much time on their hands that they can actually hit reply and get angry and mail him back. Say, why are you emailing me? He's like, those people must have a lot of time on their hands, right? So I'm like, I feel like I'm re-energized. I'm going to start banging out more and more and more mails. So you get so attached to the fact that you think people give a shit that much, they give a shit about you, but they just don't.
No, but
There are-
Jason, what is the, I mean, from a brand point of view, the damage that does to your brand. I mean,
Does it,
I'm getting,
yeah.
like Cotton On and Superbalist. Like I actually almost want to boycott. I don't want to ever buy anything off Superbalist because of the number of emails
Yeah.
that get spammed with every single day. Like isn't that damage to a brand?
Yes.
No, you say that.
So
I
just
follow
on
all the
because
discounts.
you do
Yes.
I have my wish list.
and the one email also, like after the first email of reading the follow-up emails that Jason's going to send, I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. I can't handle, like it's not good for the brand. And Jason's like, just trust me. And we got an email back from the president of Gibbs University, and he was like, your tenacity is
Wow.
both annoying and admirable. And within 2 days, we sold 100,000 rand
Wow.
worth of leadership work with him.
Wow.
And
I rest
saying
my
your
case.
tenacity is annoying. And Brian, my one guy, he just like, well, since you also find it amusing, let me just be in touch with you. And so I think I speak for me now, very curious or very concerned about the brand, but people don't think about the brand first. They don't have time to think about your brand.
So-
It's kind of like,
no.
is this email intriguing
No.
me or not? And they take time to tell you that you're annoying. Well, okay, fine.
Can I just say from a customer perspective, we from in our business we rely a lot on email marketing. Obviously, it's B2C, but what we realize is if you make a mistake or you do something that upsets people in the email, only that person it reaches only people in singularity. Like you might have sent 40,000 emails, but only one person sees it and responds to it.
They don't know that you've sent 39,999 others.
Like, you want to give this.
Unless it comes up now, like Superbalist.
And there's
You want to like mention Superbalist? They're like a 2 billion rand company.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about you.
About me.
Like, sorry.
Why don't you sugarcoat it?
Like, I'm being blunt here. Like, they just move on. There's another person that will open and buy from them.
Right.
But you even have an opportunity to turn around that person you're pissed off, because we've had that once and someone said, where did you get my details? And like, real apology, sorry, sent him like a voucher for 3 times that you gave it to like that. So you have,
Yes.
even the one that's pissed off, you have
They reply.
It's still a conversation.
challenge to confirm.
Yeah, no's, that's my favorite thing, turning no's into
Yeah,
yeses.
yeah.
That's, maybe, I hopefully Sean might maybe speak about that. But like there's definitely an art of turning a no into a yes, especially in email.
There's definitely obviously sales is about numbers.
Yeah.
So this makes total sense to just as you said, spam. I think there's just often, if you're not a natural salesperson,
Yes.
you sitting there like going, oh my god.
But that's
You
the
know what I
beauty
mean?
of this. It's automated. So that 5th mail that Elian's like freaking out looking
Yeah.
at it, just, I don't know if we can send this. I'm like, you're not even going to see it going out because it's automated. So the mail just goes out. You just see the reply. You're like, oh, cool, new lead. Like you just get so immune to that it just goes out.
Separate. I just want to know, like, Upwork cost-wise?
Probably roughly between, I'd say $30, $40 for like 100 leads.
Okay.
Yeah. On Upwork, yeah. Try, like, the other thing you might come across is like companies here in South Africa that will sell you data and stuff. I would stay away from that. It's shitty data. We've bought that stuff. It's terrible. It's not new.
That's what I'm saying. It's all
It's old data. Like they even say, oh, we like double verify this every 6 months. People move jobs way quicker than that. So even for new clients, we have data. We'll go and just re-prospect those quickly to make sure that data is up to date. Because you don't want there's a thing if you start a lot of your mail start bouncing, that affects your delivery rate and the whole thing on that. So I would just go. There are so many really good prospectors on Upwork.
Is
Yeah.
Upwork US?
Yeah, it's worldwide. You're going to find the best guys are in like Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan. I mean, it's like really smart, like people with degrees and stuff that are doing this data analysis stuff, this scraping of data.
And they have South African data.
No, they don't. They go, you tell them where to go and they go find it. So they'll go into LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, there's a whole bunch of tools. Just give them, you just got to give them, what are you trying to do? And like, this is some examples of it. Like, I want to contact companies like this, even. And they'll find it and test them. Hey, can you give me a test of 5 or 10? They'll do that for you. If you like all of them, boom, then you know they're on the right track. And they want that 5-star rating. So they're going to want to fix, if anything's not right, they'll just send it back to them. Say, fix this. Yeah.
Our requirements was to add the LinkedIn profile into our list that we've been sent, that Jason's team does, so that if I'm not too sure about this person, I'll just click on the link and I don't have to waste my time actually typing in their name in search.
Yeah.
So no, that takes better. But it's the easiest way to get it done because they draw in that data anyway, so they just add it to the list.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
With we call it like the banner ads and remarketing, you could essentially then take these email addresses when your campaign starts, you add them also to your Google ads and your Facebook ads, so that all of a sudden it just seems so coincidental.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That your company's coming up.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. We don't have time for today, but yes, you can take these lists, remarket to them. They start seeing you remarket to them before you send the cold email, so they start seeing this ad. They might never click on it, but they open them and like, oh, I saw that company somewhere. Oh, it must be seen everywhere. Yeah.
One more question.
Okay, last one. We can move on. Yes.
Business to consumer.
Yes.
That database, those sort of databases.
You can't build B2C like this. Yeah. Not really possible. Well, not that I've dug into, but I think it's a lot more harder.
More opportunity there for you.
Yeah, maybe it's something
Do you
to
have
do.
some ideas around that?
Not yet. No, let me think about it.